Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon. My pronouns are they, them. And today we have a restorative session focused on rest and sleep. So we'll be starting with a grounding that will focus on breath. We will move into our restorative asana. And then from there, we'll finish with a body scan meditation. And our asana are going to focus on opening and softening the body as we prepare for rest. So props tonight, we have 2 blocks, a bolster or bed pillows, 2 blankets, and of course anything else that we would like. We'll start with a reclined grounding. So if we're comfortable, we might come into a reclined position, laying against the mat, maybe with a bolster or pillow beneath the knees. We can cover ourselves with a blanket if we like. We can feel free to have an eye pillow over the eyes. And as we settle in, we might start by taking a few deep breaths, maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Maybe releasing with a sigh or vocalization. And we can take as many breaths like this as we need. Maybe with each exhale, letting ourselves release a little bit more into the support of the props, the mat, the floor, the earth, no matter how far beneath us the earth is today. Resting against the unconditional support that it provides, allowing ourselves to be heavy, allowing ourselves to take up all the space that we need tonight. And if we haven't already, we can return to our natural breath, whatever that looks like for us. We'll take a few moments to witness the breath as it is, without trying to change or alter anything. We might notice if we're breathing in through the nose or the mouth, if we feel it more through the heart space or the belly. We might notice if there's anywhere else in the body that we feel the breath. We might bring our attention back to the inhale and the exhale. If it's comfortable for us, we may move the breath so that both the inhale and exhale is coming through the nose. Again, if that's comfortable. If that's not something that's comfortable for us today, we can also breathe gently through the mouth. We might see if we can find an equal respiration where we're breathing in and out for about the same length of time. If it's comfortable, we might bring the hands to the belly, and we might begin to notice the movement of the belly as we continue to breathe. Seeing if we can redirect the inhale into the diaphragm and releasing. If we like, we can continue. If we rather, we might start to elongate the exhale. So breathing out for a little bit longer than we're inhaling. Maybe seeing if eventually we can extend the exhale until it's about twice as long as the inhale. As we elongate the exhale, we're helping the body move into the parasympathetic nervous response, also known as rest and digest mode. As we continue to breathe, we of course can find whatever our natural breath looks like. And if throughout our practice today we choose to maybe come into diaphragmic breathing with an extended exhale, that might be helpful for us in our quest for rest tonight. But remember, the most important thing is that you are able to breathe in a way that is comfortable for you. So if any of these cues are not helpful, please feel free to do whatever you need to do to stay at peace in your practice. If we like, we might start to introduce a bit of a movement into the body, maybe wiggling the fingers, the toes, the head and neck. We might roll the wrists, maybe bringing the hands into fist at our side and rotating the wrist in one direction and then the other. We might do the same for our ankles, rotating in one direction and then the other. If we like, we might take a nice long stretch, bringing the arms overhead, stretching the legs out. Beautiful. If we have a bolster or blanket beneath the knees, we might reach down or use our legs to kind of scoot it off, to the side. And from here, we're going to come into our first restorative asana. So if we like, we can bring the arms out to the sides, either into a T shape, or if we'd rather, we can bring them down to our sides. We'll place the soles of the feet against the ground, raising the knees. We might rock the knees from side to side, just waking up the hip joints. Beautiful. And then when we're ready, we'll extend the left leg so that it's straight and begin to lower the right knee towards the right side of the body, bringing the sole of the right foot towards the inner line of the left foot. If we like, we can reach for our blanket, our second blanket, or one of our blocks, and place it underneath the right knee, especially if we're seeing some pulling through the inner line of the leg. We can also use our bolster here if it's easier to reach. And once we find a position that's comfortable for us, we again might take a few deep breaths, maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth, if that's comfortable for us. And maybe release with a sigh. We might take a few moments to notice where we're feeling sensation, whether it's tightness or release. And if anything feels slightly uncomfortable or tight, maybe add a little extra height under the knee. It's always best to start with less sensation, because once we relax into the position, we can always remove a bit, but it's much easier for the body to release and relax if it feels supported. Beautiful. We'll be here for the next 3 minutes or so. We'll slowly come back to the breath, noticing the inhale and exhale. We might gently lift the right knee, placing the right foot against the floor. We might raise the left knee, placing the left foot against the floor. We can take a few more windshield wipes here if that feels good. And then when we're ready, we'll extend the right leg and begin to lower the left knee towards the left side of the body, bringing the sole of the foot to the inner line of the right leg. Again, we can use whatever props we like beneath the left knee. And remember, this knee might need more or less support than the opposite side. We tend to be asymmetric in our mobility. And we'll be here for about 3.5 more minutes. When we're ready, we'll slowly come back to the breath, noticing the inhale and exhale. When we're ready, we can raise the left knee, placing the foot on the floor. Again, maybe raising the right knee. Feel free to take any windshield wipes we need here, moving the knees from side to side. And when we're ready, we can roll onto the right or left side, whichever is more accessible for us. We'll take a few moments here, maybe resting our head on our arm. And when we're ready, we can take our top hand, placing it down against the floor or mat, and begin to press up into a seated position so that we can set up for our next supported asana. So, for our next supported asana, we have a choice between child's pose and a supported Baddha Konasana or butterfly pose. I like to offer both because I know child's pose isn't enjoyable for a lot of people. So first, I will demonstrate our supported child's pose, and then our supported Baddha Konasana. So we have a few options for child's pose. First option is we can take our bolster or pillows and bring it down from the top of the mat towards us. So it's along the length of the mat. If we like, we can take one of our blankets and roll this into a little cylinder that we can use beneath the ankles. That's especially helpful if we have plantar fasciitis. Or we can leave it flat and open and use that to rest against for our knees as well. So, couple options depending on our own bodies and what we need. So if you're comfortable with having your knees apart and coming down to the bolster at this level, this is a great option. Another option is to stack the blocks and place our bolster pillows on top to bring the platform a little bit higher. This is helpful if maybe we don't feel comfortable coming all the way down to the mat. And finally, we have one more option, which is my favorite. I'm going to take my blocks and create this L shape that will make a ramp. And then I'm going to lean against the ramp. So bringing the knees to either side. My ankles over my blanket roll. So I'm kind of in tabletop over my bolster. And then gently we can rest down against the support of the bolster. Remember, we can put a blanket around our shoulders like a cape to help keep the muscles nice and warm and relaxed. And we have a lot of different options. Your hands can be out to the side, they can be wrapped around. We can also lay on our cheek or lay on our chin. Remember, we want to do what's best for our body in this moment, so these are always options. Whatever's comfortable. If child's pose is not it for you, then I would offer Baddha Konasana. So for this, I'm going to have my feet together, knees apart, and I can use my bolster, maybe between the feet or inside of the feet, to give myself something to rest against. So hinging forward, resting the forehead against the bolster. If we'd like to come down a little bit further, we can also stack our blocks, and that way we can change the height. So whichever works here. I like to put a blanket on top as well for a little bit of softness. But once we've found the position that works for us, we'll slowly take a few deep breaths again, maybe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Releasing into the support of the props, allowing ourselves to become soft, to be heavy, and to rest against the support here. And we'll be here for the next 5 minutes or so. when we're ready, we'll slowly return to the breath. If we're in our folded Baddha Konasana, we might press against the mat or our legs gently up to a seated position. If we're in child's pose, we can press back through tabletop and then again make our way into a seated position as we set up for our next asana. So I'm going to start by rolling my blanket into a cylinder again. This will go beneath the shoulder blades. So I'm going to bring it across the mat. We can have one blanket covering us. If we are warm and don't want it covering us, we can also use it as a head pillow. So placing that near the top of the mat, we'll have our eye pillow handy. And we'll take our bolster, and that'll go across the mat beneath the knees as we come into heart opening posture. So for this, I'm going to bring the knees over my bolster and then recline back. Again, we want the rolled blanket just beneath the shoulder blades so that when we stretch our arms out into a T shape, our arms are flat against the ground. And if we're using the blanket as a pillow, we'll want that beneath the head and the neck so that the shoulders themselves can be against the ground. And once we find our position, again, maybe a few inhales through the nose, exhales through the mouth if that's comfortable. Releasing with a sigh or vocalization. And again, welcoming softness into the body. Softness through the shoulders, through the heart space. If we notice a bit of discomfort around the blanket, if it's a wrinkle or something like that, we might make adjustments to smooth out. And we'll be here for the next 3 minutes or so. When we're ready, we'll slowly return to the breath. If it's comfortable, we might roll off the props onto the right or left side. Reach behind us, maybe remove our blanket roll. Setting it off to the side. And if we like, we can roll back onto our back with our knees over our bolster or blanket. We can make any adjustments we would like for our Shavasana. We can cover ourselves with a blanket. We can bring our eye pillow over the eyes. Whatever is comfortable here. And we'll slowly begin to notice the breath once again. Noticing our inhale and exhale. We might take a moment to notice if we're holding any tension in the muscles of the face. If so, on our exhale, we might release and relax those muscles. Maybe releasing the biting surfaces of the mouth, letting the tongue release from the roof of the mouth, letting the shoulders be heavy, falling away from the ears. Letting the arms be heavy, the hips, the legs. Allowing ourselves to truly rest against the support of the props, the mat, the floor, and the earth beneath us, no matter how far beneath us it is today. Plugging into that unconditional support. Allowing ourselves to let go of whatever we need to let go of. And when we're ready, we might bring our attention down to the soles of the feet. Noticing what we're feeling in this space. Noticing the sensation. On our exhale, releasing and moving into the toes and the tops of the feet. Releasing, moving into the heel and ankle. Letting go and bringing the awareness into the lower portion of the legs. We might notice the full width of the legs, the length from ankle to knee, any sensations that are calling for attention or even lack of sensation. When we're ready, releasing and bringing awareness into the knee joint itself. Releasing the knees and moving into the upper leg. We might notice the circumference, the inner and outer line of the legs. On our exhale, releasing and noticing the leg as a whole. Letting the legs be heavy against the mat and props as we move into the glutes or bum. Noticing the hips and pelvis. exhale, releasing the lower half of the body. When we're ready, bringing our awareness into the belly and low back. We might notice the breath in these spaces, how the body moves with the breath. Bringing the awareness up into the lower ribs. Maybe noticing the three-dimensional nature of the breath. How it doesn't just press the ribs up, but also out and down against the mat or props. When we're ready, releasing and moving into the heart space and upper back. Noticing the space under the armpit. Maybe the space between the shoulder blades. Before releasing and moving into the shoulders themselves. Traveling down into the arms from shoulder to wrist. From wrist to fingertip. Noticing the palm of the hand, letting it be soft, and releasing the arms. Traveling back through the shoulders into the neck and throat. Moving upward through the base of the skull into the scalp. Wrapping around the sides of the head over the ears. Noticing the jaw, chin, cheeks, lips, nose. Moving into the eyes, the eyelids, the eyebrows. Continuing through the forehead and the entire scalp. Noticing the crown of the head. On our inhale, noticing the whole body. And on the exhale, releasing, letting go. Once again, allowing the earth to take the support of the body. And allowing ourselves to rest for the next few minutes here. If we like, we can remain where we are. If we'd rather, we might gently begin to bring movement back into the body, through the fingers, toes, head and neck. Taking any little intuitive movements or stretches that feel good in our body. If we like, we can gently begin to roll onto the right or left side. Taking a moment here. And whenever we're ready, maybe gently beginning to press up into a seated position if that's what we would like to do. From wherever we are, if we like, we can bring the hands to heart center or place them anywhere against the body that feels good. And we'll take 3 breaths in a way that feels comfortable for us. Take a moment and thank ourselves for making this space for rest and breath tonight. And I'd like to thank you so much for letting me be a part of your practice tonight.